All right, team, so today I'm gonna be breaking down the top 10 objections you're gonna get in the home. Now listen, people are usually afraid of objections, and I never really understand it because objections are not bad. They're how you get to this sale. It really just means that the homeowner is engaged in what you're saying. Think about it. If they have something to say or have a question as to, hey, how does this work, or am I protected here or there, it's because they're actually interested in the product. So it's a good thing, not a bad thing. Our job is not to just bulldoze people, but rather to fully understand, ask questions. Think almost like how a doctor would. If you went into a doctor office, they're not gonna say, hey, I got this awesome new invasive surgery, it's minimally invasive, blah, blah, blah. No, they're gonna understand, fully try to get all the information as they can to better assist the person. And that's what we need to do when we're inside the home. I created a specific framework that's gonna help you guys memorize how to handle these situations. It's a very simple acronym. It's called ARM. Affirm, reassure, and move on. And I'm gonna show you in this video how real world applications would go if you were hit with these objections using the ARM technique. Objection number one, I need to think about it. This is probably the most common objection in sales. Now, I need to think about it is usually a smokescreen for a lack of information. So the way I use it, and while using ARM, how to handle that objection is I say, listen, I totally understand. I would want to think about it too. Then you move into reassure. Now you explain, hey, Mr. Homeowner, like my job is to make sure you have all the information so you really have something to think about. Does that make sense? And then you move on. You go and transition into the next part of your pitch. Objection number two, another super common objection. I can't afford it. Now, for the solar people, you know, most of us are not offering cash products. Most of us are not offering deals where it's too expensive. But in cases where you are offering a product that is, say, more expensive than what they're currently paying. Say, for example, when I go into a home in solar, I'm usually offering a product that is sometimes $100 more expensive a month than what they're currently paying, because I'm not selling off of savings, I'm selling off of value, right? So how you get around this? You affirm, reassure, move on, right? Using the ARM technique. So affirm, hey, listen, I understand affordability does matter. It's important to make sure that you have savings long term, right? So now I'm pre-framing for the fact that I'm going to talk about savings long-term rather than day one savings, because I don't really care about day one savings. Then you get into reassure. Reassure usually ends up something like this, where I'm saying, hey, Mr. Homeowner, most people end up saying the exact same thing you're saying, but just let me get through the whole presentation, because I think after we get through most of it, it may paint a more clear picture for you. Does that make sense? And I already hit them with the move on just through going through it. I moved on by getting them to agree with me that, hey, let me finish the whole presentation before you jump to any conclusions so you can get the full picture. I don't want any panels on my roof. Now, this is a real objection. This is not a smokescreen like the last two. This is someone genuinely telling you a concern that they have. And if I get the objection, hey, I don't want panels on the roof, I'm like, oh, listen, I totally understand that. You need to handle this with care and make sure that you're communicating properly which actual objection they're having, because usually one of two things. They either don't want panels on the roof because they don't like the look of it, or they don't want panels on the roof because they're worried about damage to their roof, okay? Two valid objections. And we have to make sure that we tell them these are valid objections. So we affirm, right? Hey, totally understand. A couple people I speak to end up saying the same thing, right? That's affirm, reassure. Now, I'm gonna go and actually handle this objection. So if I go and try to isolate it, right? That's my goal, is to isolate which one it actually is. So, hey, okay, I hear you. You don't want panels on your roof. Is it because you don't like the look of the panels? Are you like the kind of person who likes to sit on the roof or likes to look at the roof? Or like most people, you're just worried about it causing damage to the roof, like any kind of leaks or stuff like that? I'm asking a question with genuine care and concern. I made a light joke about the person who doesn't want the look of it, because to be honest, that's something we got to be able to overcome. So I made a joke about that one. Then I transitioned to an actual objection. Are you worried about it damaging your roof? Objection squashed. I reassured them. I affirmed them. Now I'm going to move on to the actual part that I'm wanting to get to, which is the close. Objection number 4, super common objection. We have already looked into solar. You're going to get this every freaking day if you are in a very saturated market such as Florida, Texas, California, and pretty much most places are getting pretty saturated now. So you're going to get this objection It's a very common objection. So you're gonna wanna know how to handle this. So first, by affirming, when I affirm them on the doors, if I'm setting the appointment, is I say, gotcha, we do things a little bit different from everybody else. And if you just bear with me, I'll give you a brief explanation. And then I'll go into some of the MFSM specific programs that we have access to really show how different we are. Now, if you're in just a normal sales company that doesn't offer normal unique programs, you just say, gotcha, was it more of a cost thing or was it more of a lack of understanding on the salesperson's part? And then you go and isolate the objection. After that's done, you reassure, no, I totally understand. I too would not have pulled the trigger on getting solar if it was explained to me that way. I too would have not have pulled the trigger if it was that expensive. You know, now I've told them, hey, we're gonna be different from what the experience you had before. So now it's lowered their guard. Then I'm gonna move on and be like, hey, look, at the end of the day, and this is gonna be even more of a guard lower, at the end of the day, all I'm here to do is relay the information to you and see if you could be a good fit. Now, I'm not the main decision maker. I'm gonna have my specialist come by, and if it makes sense, you do it. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. At least you just fully understand from someone who actually knew what they were talking about with a cheaper price. I'm waiting for technology to get better. Now, this is honestly, you don't get this a lot, but you will get this from some people. And the way I always handle this is pretty simple. I just say, hey, someone a lot smarter than me, his name is Elon Musk, he said that panels are pretty much maxed out on efficiency. And so there's really not much room for the panels to get better. And then I'm gonna move on. Waiting for panels to get better is ultimately just gonna cost you more money in just purely interest-only payments to the utility company. Objection number 6, what if I move? This is a super common objection. Have to know how to handle this. Most company contracts, and this is again, I'm saying this from our contract, the homeowner is able to move because there's free assumability. What I'm gonna do using the ARM technique is start with affirming, right? So I'm gonna say, hey, no, totally understand, wanna make sure that you're covered in case you're moving. Right? Hey, it's really not an issue. Think about it. Most people would rather spend a little bit more money on a property that has their ownership on their utility bill than just paying interest forever to the utility company. I don't trust solar companies. Now, you'll get these because people are doing unethical business in the solar space. And so you want to make sure you properly handle this objection. We'll start with affirm. Listen, I totally understand. There are a lot of crooks in this space. Then I'm going to reassure them. That's why MFSM partners with high quality EPCs only, so we can offer the best products and make sure that our customers are being put in the best position possible. Then I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna explain, hey, we're not here for a one-off deal. We're here to provide real lifetime value and good quality client relationships. Hey, my bill's not high enough, right? That's a solid objection. How are you gonna handle that? You gotta know that in the house, because if you get hit with it, you gotta be able to move quick on your feet. Super simple. Affirm, hey, totally understand. You gotta be super quick with that. Honestly, you don't really need to affirm that too much. Then move on to reassure. So the reason why people in your position would even think about getting solar is because they understand inflation's real, right? Your bill is going to keep going up. 10 years from now, that $100 payment is going to end up being $170, $180, right? We want to go ahead and lock you in, and now moving on to the move on part, lock you in at a lower fixed rate so you hedge inflation and get day one savings. Does that make sense? Now you move on and go. I don't like debt. This is objection number 9. Super simple to handle. You just explain, hey, totally understand. I don't like debt either, right? I affirmed. Now I'm gonna reassure. The difference with this debt and like credit card debt is credit card debt never makes sense, whereas this debt is for ownership and equity and value onto your property. Very different. This is also not affecting your DTI. As a move on point, you can say you're not actually adding on debt, but rather transferring it into the home value and equity. Objection number 10, I want to talk to my wife, my husband, whomever. This is by far one of the most annoying objections to get, but it is good that they're giving it an objection. It is because they are telling you they are unsure and do not fully trust you. So you want to affirm first. Absolutely, sir or ma'am or whomever you're speaking to. They, them, doesn't matter. I get it. This is a family decision. I want to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about here. and then reassure them. There's multiple different ways you can do this. One of my favorite ways is say, hey, are you guys on the same page about finances? And they're gonna say yes, right? Because they're not gonna say no. Okay, so you guys are on the same page. Now, let me ask you, with everything that I said, assuming it's all true, would this make sense to you? They're gonna say yes. Hopefully they say yes if you explain everything properly. Okay, gotcha. So you guys are on the same page, but you do think it makes sense. Do you think there's anything that you might be missing that she may catch or he may catch that wouldn't make sense for you guys? And then that's gonna be, they might say, yes, there might be something that I'm missing. Okay, cool. So let's do this. I'm glad to hear that it makes sense for you right now. And it's true, there may be something that you're missing, so let's do this. Let's schedule a time where you're both available so you're confident and ready to move on together. Remember guys, objections are not bad. They're actually helping progress the sale. Once you handle all those real objections, you're getting to a good sale, right? You want your retention to be good. You don't want to just sell somebody and like where you force them to close and then they cancel in a week, right? You want good retention. It's important to close deals, keep retention, and make money. Let's get after it.